Third down and 20.
Julio Jones teaming up with A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown's TikTok tactics, that's tongue twister. They worked. Ryan Tannehill gains another weapon. Matt Ryan loses his main guy. A lot of people affected. I think the person that we should probably start with the first is Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill now has A.J. Brown and Julio Jones as his weapons. What do you guys think that does to Ryan Tannehill's value?
I think it's obviously it's slightly higher, especially because his value for next season now, because he lost Corey Davis last year and you replace him with a better Julio Jones, it's like, okay, you can realistically expect Ryan Tannehill to have a similar season to what he did last year. Whether that's being QB8 or higher even is pretty much in the question. But I still think the problem with Ryan Tannehill resides in you don't really have that certainty that you do with other franchise quarterbacks, and that is what is keeping you from paying that true quarterback one price for him. I like Tannehill. In our league, I'm trying to trade for him, but every single time I'm about to click the offer button, I'm just not insanely confident in this guy 3 years, 2 years down the line, which kind of keeps me from offering multiple first-round picks for him or taking him really high in startup drafts.
That's very fair. I think at this point, which is kind of what Frank was alluding to, is what is the value of Ryan Tannehill currently in Superflex?
Let's start off with this. 2 late first-round picks and this is just a blank universe. Whether you need a quarterback or don't, is Ryan Tannehill worth 2 late first-round picks, 2 contender first-round picks?
If I'm going,
I wouldn't give up 2 firsts.
I think if I'm confident that, so let's say it's like 112 this year and it's a late first next year, or even just 2, if it's 2 late 2022 first, I'm sending those away. If it's a 112, 111, and 2022 late first, I'm having a little more hesitation about it.
What if it's 2 firsts this year? That's what I was kind of assuming when he asked that.
Well, see, here's the problem I have with that really quickly is that 111 I have as a much higher valued pick than 112 because I think the 111 is a big tier break. And, there's 11 guys that I think, okay, these dudes first round easy. And then 112 is a glorified second. So like you said, if it's 112 and a 22 first, I feel like that's more so offering a late first round pick and an early second round pick, which, okay, I think that is what Ryan Tannehill's worth. But when you start kind of playing the game of I'm a contender, maybe I'm not the favorite, but I'm a contender. I'll probably be a playoff team. And I offer my 22 and 23 first round picks. You have to be pretty damn confident that he's going to be legit and he's going to have QB1 numbers for this foreseeable future. And I'm just, even with Julio, like, okay, this year, yeah, but what about next year and the year after? What if the Titans just get bounced first round of the playoffs this year? And all of a sudden, do you think they start looking for a quarterback relatively soon? Like, I just don't have that same level of certainty where someone like a Russell Wilson, well, yeah, you're not replacing him,
And you will have to pay more for Wilson, obviously, but I don't know. I feel better going towards a safer option. I'd even rather trade for how big is the difference do you guys think between a Baker Mayfield's value versus a Tannehill's value?
Well, according to Keep Trade Cut, Ryan Tannehill is currently quarterback 17. I think he's still kind of getting adjusted from the Julio trade. Baker is quarterback 14, but the difference between them is almost negligible. You have to add a late third to it, a 2023 late third.
If it's that, I feel way better trading for a Baker.
I feel better trading for a Stafford, to be honest. If you're able to get Stafford, just because I think that Stafford is safe for the foreseeable future. I'm more worried about Stafford retiring than I am about Stafford getting replaced ever. Whereas Tannehill, I think the main concern is that I could see a world where he is not he has a Jared Goff kind of season. If Derrick Henry just isn't as good or gets hurt, And all of a sudden that kind of exposes the true Ryan Tannehill, because the one thing that there was a Twitter thread the other day that was comparing Ryan Tannehill numbers and Patrick Mahomes numbers, where it's like, okay, yeah, Ryan Tannehill has great numbers. No one's saying that he doesn't. But we have seen above average quarterbacks like Jared Goff in 2018 get carried by an elite level run game and a good offensive coordinator. He may have already lost the offensive coordinator. Arthur Smith just got signed by the Falcons. If Derrick Henry has this cliff that a whole lot of the dynasty community is happening, I don't think it is there, but 2 years down the line, maybe. What was the real difference between Ryan Tannehill and Jared Goff? Like, is there an actual difference between the two of them? Because, dude, Jared Goff had an even better season than Ryan Tannehill did last year in 2018. He was an MVP candidate. So, from a talent perspective, I don't really think there's a huge gap necessarily between the two. Yeah, there might be, but I have Ryan Tannehill a whole lot closer to Goff than I do to someone like Russell Wilson or Matt Stafford. That's my rant.
That's fair. Goff was pretty brutal.
Dude, you remember 2018 though? He was like the guy he wasn't the guy, but he was arguably a top 10 dude.
Here's the case I do think what's interesting with that comparison, because Goff was most successful when the O-line was playing well and when Todd Gurley was playing well. And if you're saying the same thing with Tennessee 2 years from now, how's that O-line and Derrick Henry going to look? Will he be able to be as successful when he doesn't have defenders stacking the box, being afraid of like the best runner in football? So that's a fair concern. Like, no, you're right. If you are trading for him, you're trying to win a chip in the next 2 years. That would be the main thing I would say with Tannehill. Like, if you just think like, oh, I'll be competitive, like you really think you really got to think like, okay, if I trade for him, I really fucking like my chances to win either this year or next year or both. In other cases, I probably wouldn't trade him. And if you're a rebuilding team, you should definitely be shopping him right now.
My issue with like where Tannehill is ranked, like I kind of just like all of these quarterbacks in this area. So like the Matthew Staffords, the Baker Mayfields, Zach Wilson, Tua, Aaron Rodgers, like those are all quarterbacks that like I really like. So
Right.
it is tough where he's ranked. What, Frank?
You just said you really like Zach Wilson.
Well, yeah, relatively speaking, I do think he's like one to bust. Like I think he's most likely to bust. But
one of us.
No.
us.
Zach Wilson. So I still really like Zach Wilson. I'm still lower on him than you guys are. Like if I'm pulling up my big board right now, I have Zach Wilson at 107 post draft in Superflex. So like,
oh yeah, I mean that's his ADP right now, right? He's
going a little bit higher. He's going a little bit higher.
Every single draft, I feel like he's going 107. I see it on the Dynasty sub in the drafts that I've done.
Well, no, because I think it might be one pick higher because I think it's obviously Lawrence, Fields, Lance. This is no order. Pitts, Chase, then
Najee usually goes above him.
Yeah, is Najee going above him in Superflex drafts?
Yeah.
Consistently? Oh, okay.
So I think my issue, like, I think you guys mostly have Wilson above quarterback 4, whereas I have him at quarterback 4. I think he is, of those top 4, main high first round guys, he's the most likely a bust. But like,
I mean, fantasy wise, I do have him quarterback 4 also.
I guess you're right though, JT.
Between him and Fields,
because you are paying for that. If mean, you're getting him at 107, fourth quarterback off the board, so you're paying for that high bust percentage that you're saying is what's going on.
Yeah. So I think if you came to me and you're like, would you rather give up 107? Like we still haven't drafted yet. Just pretend. Would you rather give up 107, which it will be Zach Wilson? Like I'm guaranteeing you 107 Zach Wilson for Ryan Tannehill. Would you do that trade? Everything does matter. Like context does matter, but just not like let's pretend there's no context value standpoint. I think I'll just gamble on Zach Wilson. Like I do think if Zach Wilson hits, then I made a mistake by giving up 107 for Ryan Tannehill. Like it's a riskier play in my opinion. But I still think like if Zach Wilson hits, he's going to be valued as a top 12 quarterback, where Ryan Tannehill likely isn't going to, just sheerly based on age. Like Ryan Tannehill would really have to put up like consecutive QB1 numbers to really bump up his stock much. So that's probably where I'd be at this point.
I think the situation that I would have to be in to throw 2 late firsts for Ryan Tannehill is if my team needed a QB1. I don't think I would be comfortable trading for Ryan Tannehill as a QB2 in Superflex. And I mean, if you need Ryan Tannehill to be your QB1, you're probably just not the favorite unless your roster is legitimately insane outside of the quarterback position. I like, and that's just a niche scenario. How many teams don't have quarterbacks? They desperately need a QB1, but their roster is just ridiculously good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we have inside us, we have Andrew.
Yeah.
But
that's just our league though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I bet there is one for, one out of every 4 leagues. There's probably a team like that where they just have an insane roster, just no good quarterbacks. I think we spent a little too long on Tannehill, maybe.
It's interesting though. It's interesting.
It is.
I want to stay on one last thing.
Okay.
If you can't get 2 firsts for Ryan Tannehill,
yep.
What are you settling for? So like, what about
a first and a second? You
would take a first and a second, any second, even if it's a late second.
I would take a mid-sec. I'd take a second up to 208.
Okay.
I wouldn't want one like the very last, but like 208, 206, I would even take as that second.
I'd feel a lot better if I knew I could get like a mid 2022 second and a mid 2023 first. Like if I could try and project that and figure out where, like that's probably what I'd be looking for. Like mid 2023 first, mid 2022 second. I think that's a fair deal that you could probably get done for Tannehill. I don't think it's out of the question, definitely. What about you, Frank?
I mean, I just think it's a little greedy trying to get more than a late first and a mid to early second. I guess you could try to play the whole, okay, like Michael Gallup, for example. Like if you're looking for a first and Michael Gallup, well, do you value Michael Gallup more than a random ass second? Okay, so you could do something like that. Or maybe like a Darnell Mooney, because I know that we like Mooney a lot. This is obviously going to be league dependent because there are people that really love Mooney, but maybe a first and Mooney instead of going for just full on draft capital. You could do something like that. But I think it's a stretch in a lot of leagues, regular Superflex, not 6-point passing touchdown, to expect 2 firsts or even more than that.